All right, welcome back to Startup Today's podcast episode 7, where we've got Alan, is it Lalic? Sorry,
That's
I
fine,
don't
Matt.
want to
Yeah,
mess that
Lalic, that's
pronunciation
fine.
up.
I don't take
Yep,
offense.
Lalic.
Yeah.
Okay, great, great. Um, so if you're not familiar with Startup Today, my name's Matt. I'm sales manager for TechOn. We do remote resourcing for startups in Nepal. Um, but it's not about me today. It's definitely about Alan. Thanks for coming, Alan. Welcome to episode 7.
Thanks, Matt, for having me. I'm looking forward to episode 7 and see what comes out of it in terms of the conversation piece. And the main goal here is to inspire others to listen to our podcast and get some really good insights into the journey of founders, CEOs, entrepreneurs, whatever you wish to label yourself, out there in the world, of inventing or creating and
Yep.
scaling your product.
Awesome. Yeah, so really happy to have you here. But maybe let's talk first about a little bit about your past, or like a bit of an intro and a bit about where you've come from first, Alan. So for people not familiar with who you are,
Yeah.
yeah, why don't you give them a bit more in-depth insights?
Well, I'll go back a couple of years, but obviously I'm not going to, go word by word,
Okay.
line by line. But in my world, really, I started in a
Sure.
workforce in debt collecting, finding people. So I've had a very
Okay.
diverse journey. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but my journey started, many, many years ago, where I used to find people who owed money. And it was a very interesting experience. I had some
Mhm.
fantastic people. I would say I had a particular, if I can call him a manager, which was probably one of the best persons I've ever come across in my working life. And to this day, many decades later, I still have his philosophy and his mindset embedded in me, in terms of trying to do my best and be my best, and that influence of a short window during that time. Really, I'm very grateful to have met someone of that quality. You don't really come across many people like that. Fast forward into
Mhm.
my working career, background's been software, mainly financial services. I've worked in corporate, I've worked in small business. I even had my own small financial planning practice, for a couple of
Oh,
years.
wow.
Yeah, that got wrapped up. It was a good business. It grew slowly. I wasn't one of those hockey stick moments.
Mm.
I enjoyed that journey, and that out of that I became an investigator into the Royal Commission for what was deemed as financial advisors. I thoroughly enjoyed that
Oh,
journey. That allowed me to see a different world of the industry, an unfortunate world of the industry,
yeah.
and it really cemented my
Mm.
pathway of exiting out of that industry, which was unfortunate. There were some fantastic people that I met, and then there are others who you know deserve to be in jail. But it was a very enjoyable experience over many years. It's fun, it's enjoyable, and then out of that, I've always been one to ask questions. Curiosity has always been my thing since I was a young person. And curiosity is all about
Mm.
understanding, why or what or how, and trying to incorporate some sort of pattern to understand, what is going on. And that started at a very early age. I was always curious about the stock market, always curious about why is education taught this way from the age of 5. That's probably why I got kicked out of class plenty of times,
Mhm.
probably amongst other things as well. But we won't go there. But in terms of my journey, yeah, great life, great family. I was very blessed growing up. Brothers, sister, things like that, and that incorporates my whole business journey of software, financial services, getting into the edtech arena, which I'm very passionate
Yep.
about, helping others in no matter what age or no matter what phase you are in life. I truly believe that innovation, uh, really is a big part of this world, and it has to be. We need to move forward. And I love and I will touch on technology later. I love technology. There's always two sides to a story. But I love technology. I mean, just you and I talking right now. Without some person inventing this technology, we would not be having it. With some person not inventing technology, podcasts wouldn't exist. So, I always say to myself, think of what
That's right.
technology has done, how we can embrace it, how we can take advantage of it in a respectful way, and how others can actually engage in it in a promising way to make the world a better place.
Yeah, cool. Like, I come from the financial planning world too, so like, it's funny when you mention it. I've seen some people survive. I've seen some people, move on. I think like, no comments about, what happened with like all the different, regulation changes, but it definitely, I think it was a difficult industry to survive after all the changes that they've kind of tightened down more and more. Yeah, so I think for the people that have survived, like hats off.
Kudos
But
to them. Are they more resilient
I
than us? Are they more resilient
exactly.
than us, or is this a byproduct of not being able to take the risk and exit out of the industry? Who knows?
I think it's more like they had the solid foundation to
Mm,
start with. If you're a new incumbent, like it's very hard to start now. But these guys have been in there for 10 years,
mm,
or longer, probably more, 15, I would say. And so, I would say, a little bit easier for them to survive, when you got a bit of a foundation.
true,
Um,
true.
but we're not talking about financial planning. Before we get into the detail, what's one thing that, um, other than financial planning, that people perhaps don't know about Alan? Something that you don't really talk about in your history.
Yeah, look, I actually went into, when I say acting, I'm talking like very, very plain acting. I had a bit of time on my hands, and I thought I'd explore acting. It's a world that really gets you out of your comfort.
Okay.
It was a very enjoyable experience.
Yep.
I did an info commercial. I won't say which one,
Oh wow.
yeah, which was nice. And I was
Peop
in a very short movie, an Australian production movie, nothing you ever see in
Oh wow.
Hollywood. And
Okay.
I played
All right.
some very small parts. The people, the ecosystem in that
Yep.
space, people are very, very nice. I had a very enjoyable
Mm.
time, and it just got me thinking about how you can create confidence when you want to, and you don't necessarily need to. You think outside the square. And when I thought to myself, I knew I wasn't looking for a career in the industry. It was not that at all. It was more of a case of just exploring something new. And when questions are asked, tell us something that we don't know about you, Alan. This is the type of response that I like to give people. I'm sure people have got their hidden talents as well, but I don't mind. I don't mind sharing it. I will never be in Hollywood, but
Yep.
great memories, fond memories of what I did and whom I was associated with at the time in that small window.
Okay. I wonder if anyone watching this might be furiously searching for like Alan Lalic in like an infomercial or a movie after this.
Tell
But
me, tell
anyway,
me if
maybe
anyone
not.
finds it. Let me know. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. Got my
Okay.
email
Okay.
address. You know what? That will prove that they're very good investigators. So yeah, we'll see. It was a nice fun experience. Yeah, it's good to try different things. I believe
Okay.
in a respectful, safe way, of course.
Sure. Sure. So, so it sounds like you've had a fairly diverse career. What's then brought you to start building this platform that you now work on, Kebloom? Interesting to kind of hear about where that's come from.
Yeah, I think it just stems back to what I was mentioning earlier on. My life as a child, and again, I had a fantastic childhood, but I was always
Hmm.
curious, and I never saw the education system from a young age. It provided a foundation. It doesn't provide
Mm.
the real life skills of what you need to be empowered, what you need to go out and find your true self. What are your superpowers?
Hmm.
What is it you're trying to create in life? They give you the
Right.
foundational work, your math, your science, etc., which is fantastic. Nothing wrong with that. But as we all watch this podcast, I'm sure if not all, at least 90% have always asked a question: why are we learning this, sir or miss? And I can't remember the answer because I bothered not listening to the answer because the answer never made sense.
Right.
And so that stemmed into the curiosity world. And at the time, being married with two young kids, the conversation piece actually around AI came into the landscape. Excuse me, into the landscape. What's
Okay.
happening to the world? Where are we going? Where are we leading? And I thought to myself, what's this key independency we have on others? And that's fine again, no problem. But are we raising ourselves to be independent, or we're raising ourselves to have key dependence on others? Okay, and along the way, you need to have people along your side. Nothing wrong with that. But what truly are we? And what
Yeah.
are we truly wanting to become in life? You know, and we touched on the subject about people in the financial services industry. Are they really happy? Are they content? Or have they fit themselves in a box that they can't make their way out because of other
Right.
factors like mortgage,
Right.
marriage, kids, etc. Right? So you gotta weigh all these things up.
Sure.
And to take risks in a world, you know, unfortunately, we're a standout. We're not a stand-in, you know, and that's really sad because people get inspired for those on stage and really feel that they have to be encouraged. And we all should be in unison here and actually say to ourselves, hey, let's take that calculated risk and let's explore. Okay, what is it we're trying to test? What's a hypothesis? Can we do a side hustle? Can we start something? What is it going to cost us? And there are big risks. And there are, unfortunately, there's the rewards, but there's also the counter to that. You know, marriages, divorces, and stuff like that. You know, so we really got to ask ourselves, what do we have around us? And if we don't have the tools, unfortunately, as they say, some of the best inventions in the world are parked in cemeteries around the world, right? They just never came out of the person's mind. So how do we extract that out of the
Yep.
mind, and what sort of ecosystems can we create around the world, be it incubators, university, online platforms such as Kebloom, and get young people motivated to say, hey, I want to kick an idea off. How do I do it? I've got no idea. Where do I go? I'll go to Kebloom,
Right.
where young people can actually go through their own step-by-step process, either facilitated or unfacilitated, and say, wow, I've actually got the tools now to, you know what, I've got no excuse to say no. I've now got every reason to say yes. That's the empowerment. That's what we're trying to deliver. And as humans, we all should have that empowerment. We're not impacting anyone badly. We're not going to impact ourselves. You know, we hear every startup, correct, and I'm happy to be corrected on this, starts in somewhere that's 5 by 5 meters, 10 by 10 meters. You know, it starts in the garage, it starts in the shower, it starts in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like literally, that's where startups start
Mm.
with just an idea. It doesn't start in the, you know, Palo Alto or you know, Central Station building. It doesn't start there. It starts from the beginning. And where does that journey start
Right.
from? I want people to be encouraged to grow that mindset, to water that seed and allow it to flower and prosper, and for it to become something. It doesn't necessarily have to be success at a grand scale. It can be success what you define along your personal goals and objectives. So that's really my mindset, and going around the question around, you know, why it all started. It really was about what is the future holding for my kids. They're older now, and I'm very proud of where they're going and what they're doing. However, at that time, it's like, what in society are we creating today? And that was my fear, because the answer was, I'm not happy about that. And then the solution was, let's build our Kebloom and see where it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's pretty cool. The name itself, Kabloom, is kind of interesting to me too, because like it reminds me, you're watching a comic and you see that, yeah, Kabloom, or like the explosion or something. But correct me, correct my initial thoughts of where this name came from too.
Yeah, look, look, I've been blessed in life. I've travelled to some parts of the world, not every country. I'm very fond. I have very fond
Uh-huh.
memories of America, People there are absolutely beautiful, fantastic
Okay.
people. I've had the best experiences in the United States, be it in California, New York, Denver, Colorado, or Colorado Springs. And the people there are amazing in that ecosystem of startups and entrepreneurs. And again, I'm very blessed, and I do keep in contact with some people, be it that it's in the digital world, but we're always a message away. And we came across a digital
Yeah.
agency in Colorado Springs, and they came up with the name Kebloom. And I said, that's fantastic, the correct spelling,
Okay.
because our spelling's wrong. Um, and it was like, that's fine. I want Kebloom.com. And, I said, can we just search the web to see what comes up? It's a flower shop in Texas, from what I've been told. I said, that's okay. I'm not a great speller.
Really? Okay.
I'm not a great speller. I'll make a spelling
Yeah.
mistake in Kebloom.
Yeah.
Let's spell it K-E Bloom, Kebloom, that way. And at the time, both my kids pretty much said Kids Entrepreneurship Blooming. And then both of them said it pretty much at the same time.
Ah.
And
Okay.
out
Okay.
of that, I said, well, if my kids are seeing it as Kids Entrepreneurship Blooming, I said to the guys that designed and came up with the name, let's go with that then. And they said fine. So yeah, that's the story of Kebloom.
Okay. Sorry, I misinterpreted the name.
No. Look, I forget how to spell the real name as well. I just say Kebloom, and people say Kebloom. So I think
Yeah,
you
yeah,
see
yeah.
it every day. You brainwash yourself eventually by saying that's the correct spelling. No,
Right.
again, I had great people come up with the names. I can't remember what the other names were, but that was many years ago. But it was.
Yeah.
I was in Colorado Springs. We were doing a virtual meeting with my kids at the time, the other co-founder and myself. So I was there present in Colorado Springs whilst we were doing this conversation back home in Australia here, and then
Right.
in the Springs in Colorado. So yeah, again, fond memories. The journey gives you you meet many great people in this world of entrepreneurship. I never take for granted a person whom I speak to. It's one thing I will never do. I'm very fortunate
Yeah.
of the people whom I've met along the way, and tough decisions are made at time to time. But I'm fortunate I can say vastly everyone that I've engaged with has left a very, very good impression on my mindset.
Yeah. Oh, cool. But I mean, like you've obviously had some diverse experiences along the way that's kind of led you to here. So, like, what do you think were any like key lessons or insights that you could take away from your work history and like incorporate that into, building this product out or like the first version or the first couple of versions?
Yeah, look, I'm a risk taker. I'm a very big risk taker. And I've made big, lost big. And I'm that's one part of it. I'll say this, growing up, what is it, a square peg round hole type of mindset. You don't necessarily need to have the
Okay.
entrepreneurial mindset from a young age. That comes with skills. And I don't come up. I'm not in the family
Right.
of entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship in the ecosystem that I grew up with was non-existent, like zero. No, I did have family
Okay.
associations that ran their own small businesses and the like, but they never were a direct inspiration for me or to us to grow into the ecosystem of
Sure.
self-employment. I think your passion of life. So the takeaways here is be passionate in life. Love what you have. We don't need to whinge about stuff in this country. We've got everything at our disposal. We literally do. There's nothing that we should be complaining about. We should be finding what we can do rather than looking at what we don't have. So it's about the mindset, and it's about the people that you wrap around. My mindset's shifted over the years. My attitude towards things, my
Yeah.
ego and stuff like that. So it takes it it's self-reflection. So that's another thing. Self-reflection. Who are you? what are you? What do you want to be?
Mm-hmm.
What's your legacy? And
Mm.
how do you help others? If that's important to you, you might want to get into business and make a copious amounts of money. Congratulations, that's fine. But you need customers to do that,
Right.
right? It's the
Yeah.
mindset. What
Yeah.
are your superpowers? What you got to love? You got to love life. You got to enjoy it. You got to embrace it. You got to ask yourself, who's around you? What can you incorporate?
Mm.
What can you take? We will go through it. We get caught up in the noise. We get caught up in the whinge. We get caught up in the bitchiness. Of course, I've done that, right? We all do, all right? No one can ever say they've never not had a whinge, right? But hey, if we stop that crap and we say to ourselves, what can we focus on and what can we actually create? And you can create the best household you want. You can say to yourself, you're committed to your husband, your wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, your kids. If that's your goal in life, go for it. No one can take that away from you. The world won't know about it, but the ones that love you the most will. And that's all that matters. So it's really the mindset and what are you trying to create and do in life to make you not feel good for the
Yeah.
sake of it, but just to wake up in the morning and say, you know what? I'm going to do what I have to do today to make my world a better place. And I'm going to have hurdles along the way, as we all do. But truly, what can I do to actually say at the end of the day, uh, I'm blessed to be able to live in this environment. I'm blessed to be able to have conversations like this. I'm blessed to walk around publicly with no issues and look at the world in a different place and say, yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening out there in the world. I don't have control of that. But what I do have control is I can give my time now and do this podcast. And then let's see what people say about this podcast, good, bad, or indifferent. That's fine. That's okay too. And others might say, wow, I'm going to explore myself more and I'm going to self-develop myself more because this does take time to become what you want to become. It's a lifetime journey.
Yeah, well, I mean, I hope the stuff that you shared, it just inspire people maybe to explore themselves a bit more, whether they're an entrepreneur or not. So I think that's the purpose of the platform too for kids. And
Yeah.
maybe this leads you into my kind of next question, because I remember when I was a kid, so I'm 44, almost 45. So 20, what is it, 27 years ago when I was in high school, or even going back further, like when I was in, year seven, year six, like there was no tech like this available to us. No one talked about entrepreneurship. We just had these kind of set subjects that were ingrained into us. And we always thought that, the means to an end was getting a job and,
Hmm.
retire and have a family, etc. And that's it. These days, like with the advent of tech and, the access of AI, so obviously so many people now are working on stuff for kids, including yourself. I'm seeing a lot of, AI bots that people are trying to do to support kids, like facilitate their growth and learning. So, like, how do you see the current state? Are we in a good situation? Like, are people not putting enough controls in place? Like, yeah, I'm just curious to see how you see the current kind of tech situation when it comes to kids as well.
It's always easy. Look, politicians are the worst salespeople. They're very reactive, right? They're very
Yeah.
reactive. And I'm not criticizing politicians, right? They're administrators for this nation.
Mm,
They've got a pool of money that they have to use and protect and make sure that those monies go to the appropriate
mm,
areas. So I'm not criticizing as much as we think that they sit down and do nothing in question time, they're bullying each other, which I'm not a fan of. They do serve purpose in a community and they're administrating a near $2 trillion economy. So we're one of the largest economies on the planet. Okay. So
right.
it's easy. And the sad news that comes out of the world of the internet is horrendous. It's disgusting.
Mm,
And things we all need protection. Okay. That's an absolute. Be it
sure.
someone was trying to break into my place now and someone was trying to break into my bank account online, the same protection should be in place. I should feel
Mm,
safe. I should have a place to whom I can call or whatever to say, hey, I need help. Come and help. Okay, so I'm going to put that aside, and I respect everything that people want to do on the internet to create safety. Okay, so let's put that aside.
Yep.
In this nation, we go into every conversation with no. Let's prove that this comedian on stage can make us laugh. Arms folded.
Right.
Okay. After a
Right.
couple of minutes, we have a bit of a chuckle. Then after 5 minutes, we're laughing, and before at the end, we're in tears of laughter, and we're like, we want more of him. Okay, or her. Okay. Now, when we go into technology, we as a vast, I'm talking about Australians. I'm not talking about global. Let's stick to Australian market here, because I can't talk on behalf of 8 billion people and growing. We have the same mindset. We go in with a no. Oh, technology is bad. Oh, there's this and then there's that. Or what about downloading? What about screen time? Well, you know what? I grew up in the 70s and 80s. I watched shows that ruined my education because I was so bloody good. I never studied because the TV was so bloody good.
Yep.
Right? It's the same. We go through.
Right.
And this recently in the ABC, they interviewed a lady that was on the roller skates in the 70s. Right? And they were saying she was disrupting the streets of Melbourne. And she wasn't. She was just a young person enjoying life.
Yep.
Right? That's all she was doing. And they interviewed her recently. And she's still got that beautiful mindset of happy life. And I'm sure stuff happens behind the scenes. It doesn't matter. So to answer your question, absolutely embrace technology, AI, incorporate your chatbots, incorporate the use. I grew up going to a library. I embraced technology. No one ever criticized me ever going into a library? So why are people getting criticized going into an AI tool to find out information on the question? To me, it makes no sense. You know, let's say to ourselves, let's be smart. Yeah, there's got to be rules and resources around it. Of course, we humans, we need rules. If we don't, we'll be like the Wild West, chaos and crazy. Okay? You need that. Put that aside. Now, smart people around the world want to make everyday people smarter, want to give them more information, and we're criticizing them. We try to find, some type of, this founder is a fan of this, therefore we're going to be negative because their political views aren't aligned with ours. So we're going to go after them, right? And they focus energy on that. Okay, or this founder is trying to create an ecosystem of unease and is doing stupid things on the stage. Okay, yeah, he's an idiot. Okay,
Right.
to some, but to others he's not. So what are we going to do? Debate the whole thing all day? Or we can say, okay, let's see what technology that these people are inventing and creating, and let's ask ourselves, how do we bring that into our life, and how do we make it better for us? Like things are being solved so much faster. Sickness, getting health better, connecting with other humans. I mean, imagine having a data set of information in real time, collaborating every doctor and every surgeon around the world in one center, having real time information on surgery. That's allowing other surgeons around the world being able to say, shit, I can't do that procedure that way because 50 doctors have done it now and it created a problem. So what's the solution? We're going to try this method. And guess what? The solutions come about. That's technology at its best, making people's lives better, not trying to scare people. And we go down this path of scaring and mongering, but we've done it with, mobile phones, technology, apps, TV, radio, the car, the horse and carriage, like lights. Like there's always something that people are going to find, negative. And we went through this pandemic period where, the sky was falling. It wasn't falling. We just had to adapt to the waves and allow it to settle and move forward together. But this whole negative energy that we're putting through was creating anxiety and stress on others. We don't need that. Ask ourselves a question. What is it we can actually be with? What is it we actually got? How do we utilize it? And how do we make our lives better? That's technology, hardware, software, whatever you want to refer to. So I love technology. Be smart with it. Don't abuse it. And if you do abuse it, well, you'll get bored of it, or you'll get blocked from it. Simple as that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I really like the part you said, like Aussies come into conversations or into a situation like without like no. And like I'm guilty. I know, like I just see myself in that sometimes. Like I do that. And I don't know if it's since I've come back from Japan, but yeah, anyway, like
Yeah, stop doing it.
that's horrible because it
Stop doing
resonated.
it. Stop doing it. Go
Yeah, yeah,
go
yeah.
with a yes,
I should.
in
I
a
should.
yes mode.
Yeah.
You'll see the difference. It makes the conversation much
Yeah, yeah,
more
yeah.
fluid and much more enjoyable. I'm not saying that your conversations aren't, or people that do that, but the point that I'm making is let's change our mindset here and let's go with a different attitude. Look, we're an
Yeah,
island
yeah,
of people,
yeah.
27 million people. We are very isolated from the world, right? We are. It takes us
True.
30 hours to get to Europe, whatever, 12
Mm,
hours to get to Southeast Asia, 30 odd hours to get to South America. We're very isolated and we're traveling by plane, not by sea. And so we
mm.
become insular in our ecosystem. We create our own narrative, our own words, our own slang, our own attitude. And it's
Yep.
it's quite concerning that, the vast, many people have this mindset. And so when we have outsiders come in, or what I call Australians with a global mindset of culture, right? Our mindset's very different
Mm.
because we understand. Like, if I go to Singapore, I know not to do certain things or say certain things. Or if I went to Bahrain, I know not to do certain
Sure.
things, right? So it's a cultural learning experience, and you respect your surroundings. You go to America, you're conscious about
Yep.
what you should talk about and what you shouldn't talk about, right? So you have this cultural global experience, and I find there's a huge gap between Australians that have that versus ones that don't have that global culture. And I see it very
Mm.
in conversation. So people need to change. Let's get out of.
Yep.
Let's
Yep.
be very respectful to each other.
Yep. No, I know exactly what you're talking about, but maybe we won't explore that anymore. Let's talk more about Kebloom and what you're doing these days. So, yeah, tell me more about kind of what you're doing these days with Kebloom. Some of the impacts you're trying to have, or trying to create, and how that journey's going.
Yeah, so it's been a very it's been a long journey, trials and tribulations.
Okay.
Really, it when you're a founder, entrepreneur, whatever you want to call yourself, I'm not fussed with labels. I just call myself a founder. I'm not too fussed with labels.
Mm-hmm.
Be careful what you wish for, okay? And when you fantasize about an idea, fantasize about two parts of it. Sorry, first part is of success, and the second part is failure. Because we always fantasize about the success of
Yep.
an idea. We never fantasize about the failure. And this is doesn't matter where you
Mm.
are in Nigeria, Egypt, Australia. It doesn't matter. How do you handle failure? All right, that's one part of it. And I'll get into your question. And I am the journey is very rewarding. As I said much earlier on, I am a risk taker. I would say these days I'm not a high risk taker. I used to put everything on the table
Mm-hmm.
and risk on that, and it doesn't pay. You do lose. And so you got to adjust your mindset. And I know we spoke a few weeks ago, Matt, and I was telling the story about the I call it like the Mount Everest analogy. I don't know. I just came up in kind of this narrative, and please just imagine what I'm saying. You've got 100 people at the ground, right, on the earth, who are passionate for your idea, and you got the Mount Everest, the peak
Yep.
is your success.
Yep.
So what I've learned is that you've got 100 people shoulder to shoulder, and humans say that they're there for you, and humans are there to want to be with you. But as you take each step, the first step, you've already got people questioning what they're doing. And what I've learned is that's fine. I didn't like that before. And then as each step happens, people will come and people will drop off along the way because they've reached their risk level for whatever reason. And one thing I didn't really appreciate is their honesty, telling me they've reached their benchmark and they want to move on. I didn't see it that way.
Yep.
Okay. And over time and over my life experiences, when you're going up that peak as it thins out, so do the people. And I've learned that that's okay. That's absolutely okay. And by the time you get to the peak, you don't really have many people around you. And it's just the nature of the beast. I love my journey. Again, I've lost out of my journey doing Kebloom, but I've also gained many insights. I would say I'm a better person 2.0 now in terms of who I am. Kebloom is there for young people to be inspiring, for them to become what they want to become, to allow them to explore the ecosystem of the mindset of an entrepreneur, to give them the resources and the tools to actually go forward and not stay behind. I love what I do.
Yep.
Okay. And I just think that my DNA is that, fortunately or unfortunately, I just fall into the category where I go into the front line of any situation, any disaster, and I would risk my life or whatever it may be just to make sure that that situation gets resolved. I'd be one of those people jumping out of and I always jump out and help. If I see a disaster happening, I'm like that one person or persons running towards that person, analyzing what's around me to make sure that I'm at least safe. And I don't, that's just a me thing. Not people have that. By the way, I don't want people to go out and do
Yep.
that risk taking. That's my disclaimer.
Sure.
But it just comes down to my mindset and then willingness to want to help. My education, quite ironically, I was the one that was kicked out of class plenty of times, and here I am in the ed tech space trying to.
Okay.
So maybe that's my
That's all right.
punishment.
It's okay.
I don't know. I love engaging with people all around the world. I'll do 1 a.m. workshops, and I'm doing it this week as an example. And I'm working with two young individuals who are brothers, who want to launch a home movie theatre to allow people to come to watch movies at a low price. Their pain point is cinemas are expensive.
Oh, wow.
Their solution is they got the equipment to provide movies,
Yep.
charge a low price, and fix boredom. And the other young boy, 10, 11-year-old, they're
Yep.
brothers, they're phenomenal. Their mindset and attitude is, I appreciate it. And the other one wants to start his own watermelon business, and he wants to branch off on that.
Oh, wow.
and make money, and to do other things. Now, when I'm talking to people, I don't see it as 1 a.m. I just see it as myself being able to run a workshop, and they empower me. I was talking about pitching,
Okay.
and they're telling me, "What do you mean show and tell?" And I said, "Actually, yeah, show and tell. It's in the simple terms, it's show and
Same.
tell." Yeah, it is. And I
Right.
said to them, "I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. It's
Yeah.
they say, explain your problem as you were speaking to a young person, and they're like show and tell. So it is show
Right.
and tell, and I get inspired by these young individuals, and I mentor like adults as well through FI, which I'm sure we'll touch on, or hopefully touch on. It's amazing.
Yep.
It's amazing when you get
FI
empowered. Found it
FI
interesting.
is
Sorry.
maybe yeah. That's it. That's right. For people who don't know.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, found FI, global incubator for early. You can be early stage or later
That's right.
stage. Yeah. So, but
Yep.
when people say to me, and I've mentored or run these workshops on many occasions, and age is not. These are 10, 11-year-olds or sometimes 15, 16-year-olds, and in a workshop, we talk about technology, and I'm like, "Can you share your screen?" And they're like, "Yeah, okay," and they do it. Like 3 years ago, kids used to struggle with sharing their screen, and now it's just part and parcel that they do it every day.
Right. Well, I mean, I can see kind of your passion for mentoring, and I can see how that would flow into Kebloom as well. So, like, I can see that connection already. Like, that makes sense, even when I first spoke to you. Talk to me more about, like, what you do in the, like, sessions in Kebloom with the kids. Like,
Yeah.
I guess it sounds a bit like mentoring, but it could also be facilitating a conversation. So, but I'm keen to just understand
Yeah,
kind of
we have
what
about
it is, and where do you think the value is? Yep.
Yeah, we have about 10 different workshops, okay, that we offer. We do offer the
Hmm.
mentoring as one part of it. So you can do a 45-minute mentoring
Sure.
session. The mentoring session is really about what they want. So there is an agenda, but not an agenda. They kind of run it. I do guide them, of course, if they're not too sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all about them. So it's about their voice and what they're trying to achieve. And you can do mentoring sessions with one person, two person, or more. Try to cap it probably no more than three, because it's only a 45-minute workshop. I've got one on today.
Sure.
And I get inspired by them. It's kind of like I'm just curious, and I ask them questions, and I say, "This is your time. What do you want to
Right.
get out of the idea?" In terms of Kebloom and what they do, the workshops, yeah, these young people actually do launch a real business in the real world. They actually, if I can summarize it, Kebloom is
Hmm.
an accelerator program for Gen Z. Nice and easy. Okay.
Yep.
How I talk to them really is probably no different to how I talk to adults in the ecosystem of
Right.
entrepreneurship or mentoring. I may change the words when they're younger,
Mm.
but the gist of what it is and how to get there. They launch their real businesses. We would do how do you pitch? Like a pitching session. Is entrepreneurship? Can young people do it? Absolutely. So we do workshops around that. How do you validate your product? So there are a series of different workshops. Our difference is that these workshops are real, not pretend. I don't come up with some sort of narrative and say, hey, this is what you need to do. No. It's about what they want.
Yep.
And they say to me, Alan or sir, whoever they wish to acknowledge me, how they call me is fine. I say, what do you want out of this? What do you want to become? And they go, I want to start my business. Fine, we'll work towards that. So this is real.
Mm.
My value is I make them comfortable and happy, cheerful, positive. They converse with me. They start telling me stuff about their life. It's most important is that they're comfortable being online in this example, sharing with me what they're saying. Kids don't really do that. And honest with you, I've never had a problem with kids
Yep.
explaining to me their vision. They do start off a little bit quiet,
Mm.
but once they see that I'm not, I always say to them, I'm not a teacher, I'm a facilitator. Okay, I'm not
Yeah.
here to teach.
Yeah.
I'm here to learn from you, and I'm here to hear what's important to you. And then we share ideas, and then we talk. And then from there, they feel very comfortable with the approach.
Mm. Oh, awesome. I just finished like facilitating for there's another program called Future Anything based in Queensland.
Okay.
And I think I was just really surprised about how well the kids had already like so they do this it's very basic entrepreneurship program, very, like the fundamentals they cover, and it's all about like, find a problem, what's the solution, find your user, and then pitch it and build a business model around it. And like the level that they had already got to before I even spoke to them was insane.
Awesome.
And I think they take on feedback so well, and like some of their pitches, like some of them had already created prototypes of the product they wanted. Like it was all social entrepreneurship, so it was all social change and like better for the planet, better for society. But like some of their pitches rivaled, if not better,
Yep.
than good
Adults.
pitches from adults that I see, right?
I see the same. I see the
So
same.
yeah, 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 right.
I think it's. I think that.
So yeah, it was an interesting program. So.
You go, Matt. Sorry, you go.
No, I was just going to say it's an interesting program, and I can kind of get like the value of what you do from that experience because I do a lot of mentoring for adults, not for kids. That was my first experience with kids. So after doing that, kind of what you say resonates more and more. That's all I wanted to say. So,
It's fantastic, and well done for
but
doing
yeah,
it.
like. Mhm. You find, I imagine you find the same way. I guess kids even younger are probably even more receptive or even more, malleable, adaptive to your feed. Like, I guess you give some feedback, but you also provide a bit of guidance and direction. How do you find that interaction and their progress?
Yeah, so I always say to each person who does a workshop, you're champions. Full stop. The fact that you've actually signed up to
Yeah,
a workshop,
yeah,
you're a champion. What now? What happens after that? It's entirely up to you.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
I'm wary of using the word feedback. Even when I'm doing Founders Institute, I say to them, I don't do feedback. I actually don't give feedback. I'm not a futurist. I don't have a vision. I'm not a visionary in that respect. I can say that your idea or what you're saying is right or wrong. What I do ask them is explain to me what you're trying to deliver in that message, and am I hearing that message? If you're getting questions asked that are left field, the question is what's coming out of your mouth is what you're trying to say, and then self reflect. Say, well, on that slide, the message I'm trying to deliver is A, but I'm getting B and C questions. It doesn't make sense. So let me speak out loud what I'm trying to deliver, and let me rehash what I'm trying to say until the narrative is on point to getting the questions that I think I want to hear, because I'm biased as a founder. These are the questions that I want. And
Okay.
and engaging with young
Yep.
people who pitching, we give them the pitching template. We're talking 4 or 5 slides. It's the purpose of the
Sure.
pitch. And yeah, you're right. I've seen some kids smash it, like literally out of the ballpark. I'm like, mate, I have to watch this pitch again because I'm going to get some tips from you. I'm being
Yeah, right.
I'm being dead set. And I think it comes back to what you're.
Mm.
If you touch on, and I'll be very quick on this point. Young people love learning. And young people actually do have a concern on what's happening on the planet. We may think that these young people are all about games and Discord, being on Discord and chatting and YouTube and all that. Yeah, they're on there. But I can tell you the vast majority of kids, when I ask them what their concerns are, it's about the ecosystem around them, the environment. And I'm not talking about,
Mm.
I don't want to get into the politics aside, but they do say that they always have a concern about what's happening in the world. And that's coming from young people. And that's they do observe. They do listen. They may not repeat,
Okay.
talk out loud, but they do watch and observe, and they do want it. They do
Mm.
love it when when you hear their voice and you're just sitting there and you listen to them, and the confidence that you see elude after a workshop is amazing. And I get that in the feedback from the parents. My child just absolutely loves this workshop. They couldn't wait to join in. The confidence that it's created for my son or for my daughter is phenomenal in such a short space of time. All they want to do is be listened to and have a
Yeah.
conversation. That's truly it.
Right. Yeah, cool. And so I'm curious, like, I feel like the gap in this story then is like, how did you get into mentoring? Because I feel like Founders Institute and, your experience with your kids kind of helped you spawn Kabloom. So I guess I feel like the gap that I'm missing in this whole
How?
story is like, how did you discover mentoring or like Founders Institute? How did you get in there? And what was the experience that led up to that as well?
Yeah. So when we were when we went through the accelerator program at Mural D, which is owned by Telstra. I mean, unfortunately, Mural D doesn't exist anymore.
Uh-huh.
It was a phenomenal ecosystem
Okay.
led by some fantastic people. People who know the industry will know whom I'm talking to. Again, I was very
Mm.
blessed with the people within the Mural D ecosystem back in 2017-18 or 2018. And I hope when they're listening to what I'm saying, they'll reflect back on that year and had the absolute pleasure of engaging with some of the most fantastic people that worked at Mural D, be it that they were a mentor for Mural D, they were here or in the United States. I hope they understand what I'm saying, that that experience was like, wow. And out of that, I knew someone who was part of the Founders Institute. And as they say in this ecosystem, if you want to, you can give back. And I said to myself, well, if people want to hear my voice or listen to my answers or listen to my questions, I'll give Founders Institute a go. And I think I've been doing it pretty much nearly every year for the last 7 years. I may have missed 1 year, but other than that,
Wow.
I've
Okay.
contributed my time. I love it. When people want to listen to you, Matt, and people say to you, "I need your help," or "Can you share with me your thoughts?"
Yep.
or "I'm stuck," or other
Yep.
other mentors have said this, and I'm like, I don't listen to that. I say it in a nice way. Don't listen to them. What do they know? Try to ruffle the feathers. Just the way I am. Sorry, other
Yeah,
mentors,
yeah.
if you ever do listen to this podcast, yes, I do say that to the founders. Who told you that? It's not right. Um, when you help, I know it's just me. When you help others,
It's all right. It's all right.
it's a not. I'm not trying to look for a good feeling, by all means. But when I'm on a phone call 8:30 at night or 8 o'clock at night to 9 o'clock, and I'm helping two young founders who really are passionate about an idea, and my meeting goes for 30 minutes with them and 50 minutes
Mm.
into it, that doesn't happen frequently, but it does happen. Or one person says, "You've inspired me to look at things differently in my idea." I'm not looking for those headlines. But to go back to your question, it makes me feel proud that they're listening to me, and they're self-evaluating who they are. It's a nice feeling.
And like, how active is Founders Institute? Because in Japan, when I was in Tokyo for like 8 years, Founders Institute very active. Like they're all the events in startup land in Tokyo and beyond. They do a lot of online stuff. Uh, how often do they do cohorts in Australia? Or you want to just, talk a bit more about what they're doing in
Yeah,
Australia?
they do cohorts about twice a year, and post-COVID, I believe a lot of the
Hmm.
cohorts can be selected around the country and incorporated New Zealand into the application process.
Okay.
So I've met founders from New Zealand,
Sure.
do meetings, of course, virtually, and they're part of the workshops virtually.
Yep.
So, out of one
Right.
disaster, Founders Institute were able to adapt to their ways post COVID, and allow the ecosystem to open up. And they have their own program
Mm.
and their own criteria and their own milestones. You know, these founders do have to pass certain milestones to continue on with the program, and if they don't, they pause them or the person leaves, whatever. There's always a nice way of approaching the conversation like that. And Founders Institute here anyway in Sydney do it, from what I've been told, in a good way. So they're very active.
Yep.
A lot of the stuff, like I said, is online. They do organise. I don't know. It feels like it feels like 2 to 4 times a year, like in-person catch up more. And I go to it. It's about trying to
Yep.
down at
Yep.
the Cargo Bar in Sydney, and it's about just getting.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it's just about getting people together, and they feel comfortable over a drink of choice. They can ask questions, and that goes for a couple of hours. You can stay there as long as you want.
Oh, cool.
I tend to stay probably for an hour or two, depending. But yeah, it's good. So I would define it. I think they're pretty active. I know they're very passionate about getting founders into the Founders Institute. I don't know how many applications come through
Hmm.
for a cohort, but over the years, I've seen the cohorts become more better, if I can say it in those terms.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm very proud. Whoever I engage with, be it one meeting or 3 or 5 meetings, I'm very proud of what I see, and I know I should say Founder
Mm.
Institute do have a good criteria template to bring in the right individuals with the right mindset. I say the right mindset. I didn't speak idea. Idea is different. The right mindset.
Yep. Yep. But I think like what you kind of talk about is kind of I would say the improvement or the quality of startups in Australia is getting better.
Mm,
And I think maybe what you talk about in Found Institute is kind of symbolic of that improving refinement, education, like level of like capability, I want to say as well. So I think it's kind of representative of that journey too. Like,
agree.
so yeah, makes sense to me from what I've seen in the last 3 years. Um, so we're almost at the hour.
Mm.
Maybe let's just talk a little bit more about what's happening in the next. couple of months for Alan and for Kebloom
Yeah, so
going from here.
okay, so I'm been redesigning the website, trying to make it more understanding. They say less is more, but in
Okay.
websites you need more. More is less is not more. So,
Right.
so
Right.
I'm actually using AI bots called Sintra.ai to help me out, customize a lot of my
Hmm.
content, rewrite a lot of what's on my website, and I'm going through that. I've seen a slow growth, not a hockey stick. I'm talking like a growth in the number of hits on the website. I've done more workshops.
Yep.
I'm getting one of the guys in our private entrepreneurial group to help me update one or at least one page, because I want to go direct now and do workshops. We used to do it before.
Hmm.
I've used OutSchool, but I want to go direct. I want to open up the marketplace here for schools, be in person, but also just offer workshops directly and be able to take control. Oh, when I say take control of it, just be able to be direct with customers. So that's been a journey over the last 3 to 6 months. Going forward, I'm off to Finland for a short trip in November. So Kabloom's been accepted for this incubation program, to see what.
Congrats.
Thanks, mate. I'm,
Hmm.
I'm, I'm very happy. I'm nervous about it too. Um, but I'm
Okay.
excited. I'm excited, nervous, because I explained to you nervous, and I know we're coming up to the 60-minute mark. I'm nervous about it because it can actually make a huge difference, and it will make a huge difference to Kabloom in one way or the other. And I want it to be the positive,
Mm.
going there for the investment.
Sure.
I got to pitch. I got to practice my pitching too. So now I'm going to be critiqued on pitching. And
Right. Right.
around 120 plus applications came through for this program. 20 were selected, and we're one of 20 selected around the world.
Wow.
It's a global
Wow.
process.
Ooh.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy. And I want Kabloom to grow in markets that markets want Kabloom to grow in. And Finland is a fantastic ecosystem for education, and very impact. They
Hmm.
embrace entrepreneurship, and then out of that, in the Nordic region, and then moving into Europe, European Union, things like that. But early days, again, I've got to be careful about my vision, about what I'm planning out, because there can also be the nightmare side, as I touched on. So I'm very I'm true. I'm true. So the positive would be building out a team, getting investment, growing Kabloom. Obviously, the other side is nothing comes out of it, and my hypothesis was nothing came out of it. Okay, that truly is like there's no middle. There's no middle. So it's either that or that, and
Sure.
that's just a byproduct, because it's encouraged by the Finnish government, private government sector. So this is a real immersion of wanting founders and entrepreneurs to bring their companies across into Finland and grow their companies successfully through funding, partnerships, etc. And this is what this program is all about. And I'm doing 3 virtual workshops at the moment. That's incorporating in my 1 week
Okay.
into Finland, which allows us to pitch, meet investors. And
Yep.
next week, I'm having a meeting in terms of what my specifics are, in terms of what I want to get out, or what Kabloom wants to
Hmm.
get out of this journey and this roadmap. They're aware of it. Okay. Building out a team, hiring staff, I won't call them a co-founder, because it's too late for that. I don't believe in later stage co-founders. That's a podcast for another time, Matt. Um, and
Sure.
and
Sure.
and growing and growing revenue, and being on in a real full-time capacity. I've got my limitations as well, and just creating success. And then, if there's an exit, Matt, that's a conversation for another podcast as well. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it does take a lot of effort
But
to view this journey.
like, I think you're doing well. The thing I like about your website is all the examples of, kids that have kind of been through the program, or like the kind of like case studies
Mm,
almost. And then you post about that on LinkedIn as well. And I really like some of those stories are pretty moving. And then after experiencing like mentoring like directly with kids, then it resonates even more. It's even more powerful. So, um, I'd say for any parents out there that have kids that they want to explore entrepreneurship, you really talk to Allan or um, check out, what is it? What's the website? Kebloom.com? Is it?
Perfect. KEBLOOM.com.
Yep.
Nice and easy. The correct spelling.
And if people want to, right. If people want to connect with you on social media, LinkedIn is the best way, or
Just look up my
what's the
name,
best way? Yep.
ALLANLALIC, or just go to Kebloom.com. I'm easy to find.
Okay.
You'll see lots about Kebloom. See me on LinkedIn. Always happy to connect. Always happy to
Yep.
talk to people for the right reasons, of course. I'm not. I appreciate the ecosystem, and if people want to connect with me, go for it. If people want to learn, go for it. If people just want to hear the story, yeah, no problem. Young or old, doesn't matter. I'm happy to converse.
Yeah, well, you cover the whole spectrum because you're mentoring on FI and then you're doing your Kebloom program. So people can find you in a lot of places, right?
They
So
can globally, virtually, absolutely. I can't hide.
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Not that I want to.
So it's been great chatting to you, Allan. If you're interested in connecting with Allan or looking at Kebloom, we'll put some of the socials down in the description. If you're looking for a developer, you can talk to me, Matt from TechOn. Allan, any last words that you want to leave the audience with before we wrap up?
Love life, be yourself, and enjoy your journey.
Love it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for everything you shared today. It's been a great, kind of candid, very raw, but very honest experience, I want to say. So appreciate it all. And yeah, if you are watching out there, make sure to connect with Allan. He's an awesome human being.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for listening. Catch you in the next one.